Kia ora koutou. My name's Bob Burnett, and I'm one of the trustees of the Superhome movement and also a director of Bob Burnett Architecture. So today we've got a record number of attendees. We've got 115 people on this talk. So that's really great. It seems like solar is a hot topic. And yeah, so we've got 6 presenters, and we're going to have to work hard to keep on time. So good luck, guys. 7 minutes each. I think it's going to be a bit like a peach coocher. So those are 7 minutes. And you have, I think, 20 seconds for 20 slides, or 20 slides, 20 seconds each. But I've got nowhere near that. I've only got a handful of slides, so we'll just crack into it. I'll just share the screen and yeah, so just to start with, Superhome Movement is a charitable trust, and what we do is we share ideas about how to create beautifully designed, sustainable, energy-efficient homes. And we are a group of architects, designers, builders, subbies, suppliers, consultants, just basically everybody who's involved in the building of homes. And so we have partners and participants, and we are a national group, so there's more people based in Christchurch because that's where we started. And yeah, these are some of our partners. Jib is our main primary partner, and Brands and Christchurch City Council have been really great in supporting our Superhome Tours, which is our biggest public outreach event. So some of the other things we're doing at the moment is design guides, which are going to come out, or the next version of those is going to come out later this year. And we've started a podcast, Superhome Sessions. So if anybody's got any ideas and wants to have a chat to us and join the podcast, that would be great. So we've been around for 10 years. As you would have seen on that first slide, we had our 10-year anniversary last month. And yeah, so we've helped people soup up thousands of homes and create better, warm, dry, comfortable places to live. So that's been really great. And so just getting on to solar, there's some exciting things happening in solar, and the technology is evolving, seems quite rapidly. So I'm wanting to sort of talk about the future of solar and sort of my thoughts about how it integrates with the design of super homes. So I think there's sort of a lot more to it than meets the eye. And yeah, so I think, another thing we're doing is quite relevant, is we're creating an app. I've had this idea for a while, but we're pushing ahead to create an app where you can see what you do to improve your home to upgrade its performance affects your ongoing costs, and what the cost of solar is perhaps, and then what you're going to save, but also other parts of the building, like say for example, if you put triple glazed windows in instead of double glazed, how's that going to affect your power bill and the comfort of your home and those sort of things. And then part of that app is a mortgage calculator to see, well, what would happen if you had more disposable income and you paid your mortgage off more quickly. And there's quite a significant impact that has. So that's the next big project for us. So really, I think this is the 9th webinar we've done. If you've got to duck away and you can't stay for the full time, it will be recorded and on the website. Some of the other ones are on there. Last one was super shading, and we were talking about overheating, which again, a hot topic, sorry, overheating, but solar and heat pumps works quite well in terms of that, because when the sun's shining, you can generate power. And yeah, but first and foremost, we want to design buildings so they don't overheat. And then the first principle of architecture really is solar design, and just from the building point of view, thinking about optimizing the use of the sun and passive solar and heating the building. Yeah, the orientation and having a high performance thermal envelope and sort of the fabric first approach. And if we can achieve that, which is one of the major goals of a super home, then we need less power in the first place. So the energy requirements of super homes is quite a lot lower than a typical building code home, with that sort of fabric first approach and doing a really good job of the building envelope. And then just moving forward, sorry, I'm just forgetting about changing my slides. So these are sort of the top 10 principles of a super home. And so I think we've done most of them except for waste, which will be next. So we're really talking about energy. When we talk about solar systems, that's part of energy. And then here's a list of who our esteemed guests are today. So we have Harrison Solar and Chris Dearsley is going to speak next in person, and then online we have Golden Solar, Sean, and Future Energy, Heath, Rewiring Aotearoa, Jenny, and last but not least, Solar Corp, Andrew Kitson from Solar Corp, and who is a Superhome participant, and also, yeah, Heath, Future Energy, and Harrison are also super homies, we call them. And then I'm wanting to leave a decent amount of time at the end for a Q&A session because that's sometimes the most interesting part. So get your questions ready and type them in the Q&A a bit later. So this is a zero energy home. So that basically means this home produces more power than what it actually uses. And it's a modest size home, 3 bedrooms, 135 square meters. But there's no batteries, and they have an electric vehicle too, and the cost of running the car and the home is free. So they have a small power bill in winter and they have a credit in summer, so it cancels itself out. So that's cool. And the next thing is zero carbon. So we're building a show home at the moment, which will be the first zero carbon super home in New Zealand. And I was thinking about sort of what questions for the question session, and one that I'd like to talk about is what's the environmental credentials and impact of solar? How does it affect the upfront embodied carbon, and how does that stack up? So we'll come back to that, but the answer is yes, it's all good. It works even with our 85% renewable energy grid. It's just the payback is a little bit longer than, say, Australia, where it's coal-fired power generation. And yeah, so it stacks up environmentally as well as financially, which I'm sure some of the other people are going to talk about. So this is a project that had quite a few solar panels, and Chris from Harrison will probably talk about this one, maybe, because that was one that they helped us out with, and that has batteries. And I can remember we were there, we had our 10-year anniversary event there, and it was generating twice as much power as what it was using, even on a winter's day with a little bit of sun. So that was cool. So this is my own home, which we retrofitted and did a super reno when we did the earthquake repairs. We were thinking of putting a louvered sunshade on there, but instead we thought, well, we'll put some solar panels. The solar panels haven't arrived yet, but we're going to use those as our sunshade and generate a little bit more power. There's already some solar panels on the roof, but we're going to add some more. And yeah, so I'll probably leave it at that because that's 10 minutes. I think I only had 10 minutes, and then I'll pass over to Chris. I'm just thinking, is there anything else I haven't talked about, just briefly? Yeah, just the idea of integrating the solar into the building rather than just chucking some panels on the roof and seeing if you can save some money or make some money, and just how it works as a system, just integrated into the design and thinking about how the systems in the building work together, like perhaps a hot water heat pump and even the underfloor heating. If that's on a timer, then you're effectively using the hot water storage and the concrete slab as a battery, and using the solar energy when it's free to heat up the building as well as the hot water. And those two things add up to about 2/3 of the energy used in a building. The other third is the plug loads. So that's probably all from me, and I'll just get on the right slide for Chris. Where you go, Chris?
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Chris Dearsley. So I'm a proud participant of the Superhome movement here in Canterbury, and I'm a local business owner with Harrison Solar in Christchurch here. So we're really proud to be partners with the Superhome movement. There's a lot of synergies between what we do and what goes into the homes that are constructed. In terms of a little bit about me, we've been in the solar business now for about 4 years, and as a wider group, we've been in Canterbury for about 15 years. So we've been around for a long time, and we're pretty confident in what we can offer and how it can integrate into the various aspects of what makes up a super home. Just go next slide. So in terms of a little bit about us, we're New Zealand's largest solar retailer. We're also the most trusted retailer with our Google reviews. We're still family run, owned by the Harrison's family, Auckland based for the last 65 years, and we're part of the wider group. We're also really proud to bring in ICO panels, which I'll bring into a bit more detail shortly. And we partner with premium companies such as BYD and Fronius Inverters. When you look at us nationwide, there's 30 business owners exactly like me from the North Island all the way down to the south as well. So in terms of what makes up a solar system at a super home, there's four key ingredients that we find works well. If you look closely at that far left, the solar panels there was the installation we did recently on the Balmoral super home. So to give you a bit of detail about that, we installed 30 of our ICO panels on the roof. We had a brief with that site where we could have a 5-degree pitch only, which is a little bit under where we need to be. Modern panels perform very well, even at low pitches, but hence we increased the panel numbers from what we would usually recommend for a home like this one. It was on a membrane roof. There was a fair bit involved getting those panels up there with the various Superhome partners. And you can see we've got a nice all black appearance on those panels as well. This client was also thinking about the future. We've got anchor points up there for keeping those panels nice and clean, all the usual bits and pieces that really help you generate the energy that you need down the line. The next part of the system is the inverter, and that's the engine room of what happens. With Harrison's, we partner with Fronius. They came out of Austria. They make really good quality solar inverters, active cooling inside. All of your personal information stays within the European Union. And we also partner with various battery suppliers. For this installation, we partnered with BYD as it integrates very well with that Fronius inverter you see on screen. Batteries are an optional part of the system. They work very, very well if you're not at home during the day, you want to store your energy for use at night. And crucially for this house, it gives them power cut, full house backup in any power outage from the grid. The final part for the Balmoral Superhome was the EV charger you see on the far right there. Now, they're not just regular EV chargers, they integrate everything completely together. You drive your car into the garage, you plug it in, you put it on eco mode, and your EV can simply charge from excess solar during the day. We find if you add those four ingredients together, you can get a very good outcome, both from the carbon offset you can achieve, the power savings, and the backup and resilience that you can achieve if there's ever a power cut. In terms of what we see in the panel market, this company here is doing some pretty exciting stuff. ICO makes the world's most powerful and efficient all-black solar panel. They have a 30-year performance guarantee now and a 25-year product warranty. That's the time frame we're talking when we put panels on the roof. If you look at the ICO panel, the biggest change we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years is the power output of those panels. We can now get up to 475 to 490 watts of power per panel. To give you some context, 3 to 4 years ago, we were down in sort of the 300s. We're now just about to hit that 500 watt mark. That is typically reserved for commercial panels that are a lot bigger. On a residential house, ICO have genuinely changed the game, and they make a very awesome product called ABC, which is all back contact technology. If you look closely on the screen, you can see the ICO panel on the left there. There's no visible metal buzz bars on the top. They put them underneath the panel. By doing that, you free up more space per square meter for solar generation. It looks good, and crucially, it works very, very well in any partial shading conditions. They have advanced features there. Our view is in real life installs, you can get up to 30% more electricity generation by having that ABC technology under the hood of the panel. I'm a visual person. This also shows you just how far we've come in quite a short period of time. The traditional panels are on the right, black aluminium frame, metal on the top, that's showing the energy where it needs to go. That's the ICO panels on the left, no visible metal on there, most efficient, most powerful panel currently on the market. Now we get to the inverter. So the inverter is the engine room of what's happening. We specialize in something called a string inverter, which is made by this company here, Fronius. They came out of Austria. It's the only actively cooled solar inverter on the market. And that's the key part. The cooler your inverter runs, the longer it's going to last. There's more than 1 million of these now in Australia and New Zealand, and they're made of 80% recyclable parts. Fronius is very much ahead of the curve on their circular product life cycle. They also integrate everything very nicely together in terms of the battery and the EV charger. In terms of the battery, when installed on Balmoral, it's the BYD version that you see there. That black bit up the top is the brains of the battery. It's modular, which means you get flexibility. For the Balmoral Superhome, we sized it about 13.5 kilowatt hours. I think it's just over. And that's about half a day of storage, if not more, in the summertime when they're not running their hydronic air to water heat pump, which heats up the slab in the winter season. It's also fully backed by BYD, which is now the world's largest EV and battery manufacturer. That integrates very nicely into the Fronius interface. And the final part is the EV charger. Plug that in and get that running as off your car, off excess solar during the day. So that's my 7 minutes. So hopefully we're heading right on time. There's my contact details if anyone has any questions. And thanks very much, everyone. I'll pass over to the next one.
Thanks very much, Chris. That was great. So next up, we have Sean from Golden Solar. So welcome, Sean. And if you just want to share your screen, that would be marvelous.
Yes, can share my screen. Hi, everyone. Sweet. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We're not seeing your slides yet, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a big button at the bottom. So just while Sean's looking for that, it's really interesting what Sean's up to with building BIPV, building integrated photovoltaics. Sorry, I don't want to steal his thunder, Sean, but
Yeah, sorry.
can I find the sharing? Should we try and do that from our end then?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, if
Let's
possible.
do that.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Cool. Just give us 2 secs. Yeah, anyway, do you want to just maybe start to tell us a little bit about your...
Sweet. Yeah. So I'm Sean. I'm the founder of the Golden Solar. We started the company 2 years ago. We focus on, based on in Christchurch, and we focus on the BIPV field. The BIPV refers building integrated photovoltaics, which we combine with the building material and solar components together, two-in-one solutions. And we pretty much have the 4 different product systems available in New Zealand at the moment, which is a solar roof tile system, solar glass facade, solar glass, and also solar carports and solar sculptures. Sweet, thank you. So what is BIPV? It's quite obvious. It's building materials. Compared with traditional roof panels, it will be a part of the building. It's functional as building materials. And it's also generating electricity. It's two-in-one solutions. Benefit is obvious. It looks nicer. It's integrated with the structure, and also creating multiple benefits. So can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So it always have a dual functions about the BIPV product. For instance, the solar roof tiles, I think most people heard about the Tesla solar roof tiles maybe around 10 years ago. When it's first launching, it's bring people's attentions. I think the benefits are quite obvious. It looks nice, it's integrated with the structures, generating electricity, but also have some disadvantage as well. Apparently it costs quite a lot compared to the normal roof system or the rooftop solar. And also the project, the installation process is much complicated. It's required the professional roofers and also the qualified electricians to do the installation together. So shall I move to the next slide? Yeah. So that's some showcase projects we are not partners done before, mainly in China and the United States. For this type of roof tiles, we have the certification from the Europe for the CE and also for the North American, which is the UL certifications. And as a solar components, we have the TUV certifications. But to use in New Zealand, I think we still need the brand's approval. That's quite challenging at the moment. So currently, we can use those roof tiles built for the small tiny home or granny house, which is not require the building code or building concern at the moment. Yeah, and talk about the efficiency rate. This product is around 70% of the efficiency rate compared to the panels we talked before. It's still a little bit of gap. So the next one is a solar glass. It's same concept. It's a type of building materials, but also generating electricity. It has some light transparency, which we can up to the 50% of the light transparency for those panels. It's working and looks like the normal glass. Can you move to the next slide, please? And ideally built for like the glass shade of all the public fence or even the facade outside of the building. We have built one in front of the UC library. So if you can see on the right corner, that one has 20% of the light transparency. But the good thing is they looks good. It looks just like the normal glass. But the disadvantage is the efficiency rate it's pretty low. It's pretty much only half of the normal panels at the moment, but I think with the technology develop, probably will be increased in the future. So the next one we're trying to talk about is the solar carport. That's a product we pretty much focus on at the moment. It's a structure integrated with the solar panels on the top. It's generating electricity just like the normal panels, but also functioning like the proper carport structures. They have dual functions, shade the area, and also generating electricity. And also, we are working close with Goodways team and bring this product to New Zealand market. Can you move to the next one, please? Thank you. So for now, we have the two kit set of the solar carport at the moment. Which one is in the left corner? It's a single carport, which is 4.8 kilowatt system. The structure is made by the aluminum structures. It's modular design, easy to install, and and we do have the double kits of the solar carport as well, which is 8 kilowatt systems. Although it's named by the carport, it can be shade. You can pretty much park anything underneath, like in the right corner the photo shows. So it has some door function as well. Sorry, can you move back to the last piece, please? Yeah. So I want to spend a little bit more about this type of product because it's creating extra value to the house owners rather than solar generations. It's also can free some garage space if we put the solar carport out of the garage. It will increase indoors use, and also when the homeowner consider about the ROI rate, that's something probably will adding extra values to the owners. So, and finally, we just briefly introduce the solar sculptures. Its function as a public ad and bring some sustainable landmark and positive renewable energy impact to the public. Yeah, please move to the next slide, please. Yeah, we have built one of the PV sunflower sculptures in front of the uni UC engineering department. For this system, it's 2.65 kilowatts. It can automatically tracking the sun during the time and forward and unforward every single day. So it's bring lots of positive impact to the student and staff to the uni. And I think in the future, if anyone who's passing through can maybe take a moment, have a look. And just behind the solar sculpture, that's actually the solar glass shade, just in the left corner. So most people probably only notice the sculptures, they don't even notice there's a solar glass shade at the back. So that's pretty much. Yeah. So why BIPVs matter? I think we're not trying to compete with rooftop solar or ground mounting solar system. I think we're trying to bring some extra values, especially for the architectures to design the solar system to build a smart, renewable, smart and green homes in the future. And we came to looking for to the right people who are looking for this type of solutions and seeing the value of the BIPV product and systems. Sweet. I think that's pretty much. Thank you very much. Thank you for Superhome and Bob. And I'm looking forward to the Q&A sessions. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Sean. I think it's really, really interesting to see what's happening with the future of BIPV. And I think Heath now. So are you there, Heath? We'll just unmute you. Yeah, cool.
Hello.
Welcome to
Hi,
Heath
can you hear me, Bob?
Future Energy.
Okay, I will share my screen. That works.
Thank you.
Okay, that should have popped up there for you now.
Yep, we can see that. All good.
Awesome. Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Bob, for inviting myself and Future Energy to discuss all things solar and possibly a few other things there as well. I'll start off with just by introducing myself there. So my name's Heath. I'm the co-founder and general manager of Future Energy. I have over 15 years in the trades and services industry, really kind of focusing in the energy sector. Co-founded Future Energy in 2020. Self there. big focus and passion in sustainability and trying to create kind of better, more energy efficient homes and buildings there. I try to get out of the office as much as I possibly can. So there's a quick photo of me doing the good work on a roof south there. A little bit about Future Energy, really. So we are an all-in-one service provider specializing in sustainable energy solutions. So might be a little bit contradictory for this webinar. We are not just a solar business. A big part of our business is trying to look at reducing energy within the house, within the buildings as much as possible. So we look at everything from on the roof to under the roof. So that includes air conditioning, ventilation, hot water solutions, EV charging, solar and batteries there as well. So we cover pretty much most of the main centres across New Zealand there, and work from anything from domestic properties for commercial businesses all the way up to kind of industrial buildings there as well. Our mission really is to transition our industry to 100% renewable. That's what we believe is the future, and that's what we're all striving to. So it's one of the things I really enjoy about our industry, is that we all have a shared and a common goal out there, which is really, really exciting. But the big question is how do we get there? So we kind of focus on 3 areas: as the energy reduction pathway. So that's why I'm trying to reduce our load as much as possible. We're then able to look at offsetting, and then the last part of that from our side is the energy management side of things. So trying to look at smart appliances, load shifting, recharging and discharging, and just trying to use that power more efficiently there as well. So this is what we call as our future home, and what we believe every single home should be when you're building new or you're renovating or developing, and it shouldn't have to be super expensive. Every house should be healthy, comfortable, efficient, and sustainable, we believe. So the healthy side comes really down to ventilation, itself, making it warm, it's dry, which also makes it more easier and efficient to actually heat itself there. Comfortable is a pretty necessity these days. See, we live in the 21st century, so no one should really be cold or hot these days. So that starts with obviously having a good design, but then making sure we've got energy efficient heating and cooling throughout the house. And the best time to do this is typically at the stage of building there as well. So it makes things a lot simpler, a lot easier, and a lot more cost effective to do. And basically part of our goal is to try and to bring all of these parts, all of these products together to make the most energy efficient household there as well. So we often find solar and batteries are often one of the last things that we look to do in new builds developments. That's kind of the final piece to the puzzle in our view. Because if we make our house more energy efficient, if we reduce that load, we can manage that load more effectively. It therefore requires us having less solar panels on your roof space and potentially less solar batteries there as well, which once again makes it more. Really for many people is why go solar there. So the 4 kind of key impacts that we have there is really energy savings, energy independence, the sustainability of it, and then also potential home investments there as well. So just a couple of the key ones there. People can often save 50 to 80% off their electricity bills by going solar there as well, which is really, really exciting on its own. Energy independence there, protecting against rising electricity costs and power outages. I think most people can see the way the energy market is going and what's being advertised in the media these days. They're only going one way, and that's up at the moment. So by having solar and batteries really protects you against those increased costs there. Sustainability side, an average solar system will help to reduce CO2 emissions by 2 to 3 tons per year, which is great, makes a big difference. But also on the sustainability side, it actually helps to reduce our infrastructure as a country there as well. So every solar system we put into every single household helps to take pressure and load off. So when we talk about sustainability, it's not just environmental, it's also basically sustainability as far as our grid and infrastructure goes. Last one is the home investment ones, and this one is a pretty big one. So lots of studies being done around the world, lots of them in Australia, and we're starting to find some over here now as well, that putting solar and batteries can increase the value of properties by 3 to 5%, which is amazing there. We've been involved in a few developers which has helped sell their home sales by up to 20% there as well. So we're certainly seeing a big focus for builders, developers, and people have a focus towards kind of eco-conscious buyers and also different ways to advertise and market their developments these days. So four kind of real key drivers there for me. I thought I would just give a quick update to our energy market as a whole here. Gives you a quick overview. And actually, what this highlights really is our market is still very much emerging and we've got a long way to go. So this is a little bit dated data from last year from the CIANS organisation. We're just over 3% as far as solar uptake goes in New Zealand. 88% of them is residential, 12% is the CNI, so commercial industrial, and we only have a 24% uptake in the solar battery space there. So we've got a really long way to go, I guess, which is a good thing. This here just kind of shows our forecast and where we're heading though. So you can see kind of when they started the forecast and where we're at now. So we've just gone over 70,000 installations. So between now and 2030, we're looking at adding over 300,000 installations over that period. That's kind of where we're going. So that's really exciting, I guess, for all businesses and industries in here. The seeing is that we're going for a really big change in our market, which is great. Okay, I'll get into some of the product side of things there now, and a lot of this has already been covered, so I will try and breeze through this as quickly as I can. Four key parts to any solar system, I think we've discussed there. The one real key thing I'll probably just touch on is the mounting systems itself there. Pretty much most mounting systems are designed for every different type of roof there these days. It's really important, obviously, to make sure you get the right mounting system for your build. So whether that is long run iron, or whether it's a tile roof, a membrane, or a Gerard roof, there are mounting systems to suit these days, which is really important. Loads of different manufacturers that are out there in the market these days. Keynote to have there really is just when you're evaluating kind of your different manufacturers, it's always important just to look beyond that price and think of kind of that long-term performance, warranty, and support there as well. Which is really, really key. There's some great kind of industry articles that are out there. These are just some of the main brands that we work with and operate, which are pretty well recognized in our industry. All of them have great features. All of them have great supports these days as well. Very quickly, just showing you how solar works in a household there. Obviously, your panels are generating the power that goes through your inverter. Any excess gets stored in the battery, and then at night, your battery discharges to power the household itself. And if there's any additional power that feeds back into the house. This is a great source from our good friends at My Solar Quotes. They've got loads of great information. It's on their website there, so I recommend if you're interested to jump on and have a look in there in a bit more detail. As far as solutions goes, there's really three different types of systems out there that we most commonly find in households. So just a standard solar system, really, that's without any batteries systems there. So they're ideal for daytime power users. So obviously businesses are great options for these. But running kind of appliances or any of high draw loads that you can look to load shift during daytime. So like swimming pools, hot water cylinders are a great example for load shifting. Then we have solar and battery systems, so they're great for evening and overnight power usage there, and if you get frequent power outages there as well. So the big key distinction between those two systems is the batteries and is the hybrid inverters, which you often need. So they're typically quite a bit more expensive than a standard solar system. But obviously your use case is slightly different. And then the last one is the off-grid systems there. So that's obviously when you have no grid connection whatsoever. You're purely relying on your solar and your batteries to power the whole house. So these systems are ideal, obviously, when it's really kind of cost prohibitive to get a grid connection out there. If you are going off-grid there, it's highly recommended that you look up at a backup generator just for those kind of winter months there, just to make sure you obviously maintain power to the household. Pretty much getting towards the end here. Just a quick kind of process when we look at designing a solar and battery system. What we're looking at is energy assessments there, reviewing the site and the appliances within the household. Our site assessments, basically conducting a roof and shading analysis there just to find out how much power we can get onto the panels we can get onto the building. We look at the product specifications and then we do our analysis in there. So there's some really good tools available these days which are really, really helpful. This is one that we look to use to do all of our energy modelings and battery modelings there as well, and they help us with all of our financial performance data as well. So it doesn't matter if it's a new build or if it's an existing housing, there's some really great options that we provide for that. And this is what the final product looks like. So yeah, technology's come a long way. No longer you see the kind of the old blue panels on the roof these days. They're really designed to look really nice, sleek on buildings these days. This house actually won a award with Trina Solar. Actually, I think we've got one of the best installs for the last year, which is great. It's awesome. They're all true solar panels. They're all blacks. And you can also, if anyone is interested, go on to kind of our website where we have all of our kind of products and installations are available there, including all of our different other product offerings that we have there. The last one I have here is just a little bit on the future tech side. Some things that are really exciting and looking forward to kind of seeing there. First one we're having is energy diverters. So that's integrating kind of things like EV charging, hot water and air conditioning within kind of the solar and battery ecosystem. That's really going to help to drive and unlock further savings for the household itself there, rather than just using batteries to offset overnight power. And you typically get cheap rates there anyway. Battery storage market arbitraging. This is a really exciting thing we're starting to see in the market now already. So this is basically trying to use your battery actually to help generate some revenue from that as well, doing multiple cycles for the day and selling the power back into the grid when the energy rates are really, really high. So there's some really good stuff there, and I know that rewiring team are right into all of that. So I look forward to hearing about that. Along the lines of virtual power plants, what we call VPP. That's really around the demand response there. So if there are particular areas that have a lack of energy and supply there, then potentially working with lines and network companies to supply discharge power from your home battery systems to help the network out. And there'll be some really exciting things that we look to see coming up there in the future. Bidirectional charging, I think it's already been touched on in here already, but there's some great stuff in that bidirectional charging. I saw the rewiring team is saying the big handbrake at the moment really is just a lot of the discussions around the warranties and regulations and software. So that technology is available. It's operating around the world today. So we're just waiting basically to get the green tick over here. Then the last one is $0 bills home. So we've just done our first zero bill home. That was with Octopus Energy, basically designing a solar and battery system along with air conditioning, so hot water heat pumps, and basically having a $0 bill home, which is a really another exciting kind of opportunity that we see coming up in the long term. So that's pretty much it from me. Nice and short. Might have just gone over time there. Apologies, Bob. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to get in touch with myself or anyone at the team, and more than happy to help.
That's great. Thank you very much, Heath. And welcome, Jenny from Rewiring Aotearoa. And
Cool.
yeah, if you can, I think you're onto it. You're sharing your screen now.
Cool. All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks for having me. So I'm here from Rewiring Aotearoa, and I'll talk a little bit about the future of rooftop solar and batteries, especially from a consumer perspective. So for everyday households. Just a bit about me. I'm a senior data scientist and a project manager at Rewiring. And my background's in tech as a data scientist, but I really love all the stuff happening in this space. So I was really excited to be able to bring those data skills to the energy sector, and especially from like a climate angle. Who are Rewiring? So we're a fiercely independent nonprofit. We do a lot of research and advocacy from the perspective of the consumer. So that's the households, the businesses, the farms that are consuming energy from our grid. And our goal is to build the cheapest and most renewable energy system in the world for New Zealand. And we're a group of farmers, data scientists, economists, energy nerds, policy people, comms people, to make New Zealand's boat go faster, as we like to say. Some examples of research we've done. The most popular ones you might have seen are our electric homes report, which is about how much New Zealand households could save on average by going electric. And then the other one that came out recently was our Investing in Tomorrow paper, which is what New Zealand as a country could save macroeconomically if New Zealand was to take advantage of the savings that electrification brings. This is all available on our website as well. So getting into the benefits of solar for households. So first off, just want to say the price of everything is going up. 140,000 New Zealand households had to take out a loan to cover their power bill in 2024. This is a really sobering number for us, and it's part of what gets me up in the morning is the fact that we now have this amazing technology called solar, and yet New Zealanders are still struggling to pay their power bills. And so this is the cost of energy across all fuel types against inflation. And so the price of energy is going up across the board. Doesn't matter whether we're talking about electricity or coal or gas or petrol, it's all going up. And so just the grid electricity is not exempt from that. So power cost of the grid is going up, mostly due to the fixed costs of the lines, the poles and wires that we have to maintain. But the remarkable thing is that while that's been happening, the price of solar has been dropping precipitously in the last few years. And so you can see here, the yellow line is the cost of solar per kilowatt hour when you finance it at 5.5%. So if you buy it up front because you've got the cash, that's even cheaper. But at the going rate for about a mortgage, it's still way, way cheaper than grid electricity. And the other exciting thing is that solar and battery, and a bit of drawing from the grid, has just started becoming cheaper than grid electricity as well. So it's a really exciting time. New Zealand has reached the tipping point where you can save money on your power bill and have a fully renewable home, and that's only going to increase. So we know that according to projections, the price of the grid is going to keep going up and the cost of solar is going to keep going down. And so going electric lowers the bills for an average home by about $1,000 to $6,000 a year. And when we say electric home, what we mean is all the machines and appliances in it are electric. So that's your water heater, your space heaters, so your heat pump, your cooktop. So rather than a gas cooktop, having induction or electric resistive. So how you drive, so having an EV rather than a petrol or diesel car. And then obviously rooftop solar and batteries can charge that all for really cheap and then provide you the resilience to make the most of your solar generation. And the savings are look a bit like this. So this is a hypothetical situation where, let's say in 2024, you switched over from a fossil fuel home where you've got a gas heater, a gas cooktop, gas water heater, over to a fully electric home with an EV, induction cooktop, heat pump, hot water heat pump. You can see the cumulative electric savings are pretty massive. And that is especially because the fossil fuels are projected to increase forever and ever, basically, because they are not a renewable resource. And so why is rooftop solar so cheap? So when we pay for our power bill from the grid, there are lots of things that make up that about around 30 cents a kilowatt hour that we're currently paying. So you've got about a half of it for the generation cost, but then you've got everyone else along the way that delivers the electricity to your door. Compare that with rooftop solar, where there is no one between your roof and your fridge, and so there is no infrastructure in the middle that you need to pay for. That works out to be about 13 cents a kilowatt hour on 5.5% finance. It's 6 cents a kilowatt hour if you buy it outright, so if you pay for it up front. We like to say that even if aliens came to Earth and gave us a free CapEx, zero OpEx nuclear fusion reactor, it would still cost more than rooftop solar because of all the delivery costs in the middle to get from that magical nuclear fusion station to your home when compared to rooftop solar, which is 6 cents or 13 cents. So we're really excited about households getting solar. We're also excited about all households, including people who don't own their own home, like renters, getting the benefits of solar. And so there are also something that Rewiring is working on is solar for renter schemes, where we can share the savings that come from solar between the landlord and the tenant in a way that's fair and low risk for everyone. So a question that we get often is where will we get all this electricity from if we're going to switch all our petrol, diesel, and gas appliances and vehicles over to electricity? And the fact is that we will need about 2 to 3x electricity to electrify New Zealand. But the thing to note is that when you electrify, you almost double or triple your electricity use, but you massively decrease your energy use. And that's because electric machines are just so much more efficient than fossil fuel machines. So just want to make that distinction clear. Your energy use goes down, even if your electricity use goes up. And where the electricity could come from, we could build massive infrastructure that costs everyone a lot of money, or we could do it in a distributed way where people own their own power, and then also that helps us firm up the grid. So for example, if 80% of New Zealand homes got a 9 kilowatt rooftop solar system, which is about the average size in Australia, we'd get 40% more electricity generation for our current grid. if half the farms around New Zealand did what Mike Casey, our CEO, who's the cherry farmer with a fully electric orchard, if they did what he did, a mid-sized solar system, that would add another 30% electricity generation. And then you think of all the rooftops on the schools, the supermarkets, the commercial buildings, your Bunnings, your warehouse, and that would constitute the same as New Zealand's largest solar farm. So we have plenty of roof space, we have plenty of ground space, but particularly roofs to generate that extra electricity we need while delivering the lowest cost energy for consumers because it's because you get to own the electricity that's coming off your roof. Yes, so 16 largest commercial rooftops would be alone would be New Zealand's largest solar farm. The other thing that's really great about solar from like a countrywide level is that it really helps our energy security during those dry years. So if it's rainy, if it's a dry year, it means there's little rain for our hydro lakes, but that means there's lots of sun. So that means it's a perfect scenario where solar can come in to really save the day. So at the moment, we retrospectively firm our hydro supply with coal. And so when the lakes are running low and it's a cold day in winter and it's dark and everyone's put on their heaters, we end up burning coal imported from overseas at massive cost, both to the environment and to the economy because it costs a lot of money. Yeah, so that's a pretty unideal situation when we could be preemptively firming our hydro with solar. And so I'll explain what that means. So if 80% of our homes got that sort of average size 9 kilowatt rooftop solar system, that would add another 29 days to our hydro storage. Farms, another 15 days, commercial buildings, another 6 days. So cumulatively, we're adding about 40 days of storage to our hydro lakes because rather than using that electricity, we are using it off our roofs and then saving it for that cold, dark, rainy day in the middle of winter. The other question we get often is, can the grid handle it? Can it handle this increase in electricity usage and also electricity being exported? And so this is the current grid loads at the moment on average. So in the morning, people get up and make their breakfast, put on the shower. So there's a peak there. Then everyone goes to work and it's mostly just like lights and just general sort of load. And then the evening, everyone comes home, showers, heaters, cooking. And so you get this peak. But what we find is that the average is actually only about a 38% utilization rate of those poles and wires. So they're not running at capacity, they're built for capacity, but they run on average quite a lot lower than that. And the great thing about batteries, and this is where batteries come in, so a home battery removes a home from the peak because as we mentioned earlier, when prices are really high and everyone's drawing power from the grid, if you have a battery, you can draw from your battery and avoid those really high prices and also avoid putting more load on the grid at the peak. Something like Mike's farm removes 25 homes from the peak. So you can really see how this scales for commercial, like business scale solar and battery. And so what we've modeled is that could really flatten out the peaks of the grid and we could actually achieve quite a lot of more electricity going through our existing wires without $100 million upgrades that then increases the fixed cost of the grid for everyone. And it was mentioned just previously about battery market arbitrage. So the spot price of electricity goes up and down based on demand. And so I think last year there was this huge peak where we were running out of hydro water and it was going really high. And Mike just sold like all this battery capacity at a massive, massive profit. So that's another reason why you might want to get batteries. But the other angle is the resilience angle. So when there are power outages, increasingly regular extreme weather events, if you're in an area where an outage might mean not just a flicker or a couple of minutes, but it could mean something that's gone out for a few days, then that could be another reason why you might want to invest in a battery. I'll touch on vehicle to grid. So this is when your EV battery becomes the battery for your home. So the EV is basically the biggest battery in your house and it just happens to have wheels and be able to drive you around. A typical home battery might be 13 kilowatt hours. That's the capacity. A Nissan Leaf is 40 kilowatt hours. So it's literally like more than 3 times as big as a home battery. And so if only we could just connect that up to the grid and your house could run off your grid's batteries and you could also sell the capacity in the battery to the grid. And so I mentioned earlier we are about to run New Zealand's first V2G trial in Queenstown. So we will definitely let people know the outcomes of that trial. But it is a really exciting opportunity. So for example, if just 30% of our car fleet were EVs with V2G enabled, and most of the new cars on the market, most cars after basically like 2022 EVs, are V2G enabled. It's just not like unlocked by the manufacturer in New Zealand. That would basically be more than our entire grid capacity right now. So this is a huge opportunity, and we're really keen for New Zealand to be a leader in the space. Other countries have already started trials, Australia, some in Europe. So we've got a bit of catching up to do, and we're really excited to push on that. Really quick point about the waste, in case anyone's curious. So the material needs to transition the entire world onto renewables. So this is not including any energy reduction. So this is so things that make us not need as much electricity. If we were to just use the same amount of energy, sorry, the same amount of if we had the same energy needs and we move that over from fossil fuels to electric, it would take 760,000 tons total of materials to make those solar panels, to make those EVs. But that's compared to 3.1 million tons of fossil fuels that we currently burn every single year. And we have to remember that the 760,000 tons are almost entirely recyclable because they're metals mostly, whereas fossil fuels are just by definition, a single-use material. Like they just burn up and they stay in the atmosphere for 1,000 years and contribute to climate change. On the other end of the scale, so you've used your solar panels and it's been 30 or 50 years, 30 to 50 years, it's like a pretty long time. The solar waste, the total solar waste would be, would be about the same as the amount of coal ash produced every month in burning coal. So it really is a totally different scale of like waste and materials that we're talking about. And as someone who's like really worried about climate change, I think it's like a totally worthwhile trade-off. We also have to remember that any of that solar waste, all of it is basically recyclable. So Phoenix Recycling, which is, I think, one of, it's a solar recycling facility in Hamilton, in New Zealand. They've started achieving 98% recycling capabilities, and we're still pretty early in our solar journey. So it's really exciting stuff. So just to wrap up, as Saul Griffith, who sort of leads up Rewiring Australia, likes to say, just make 5 good decisions over the next 20 years. So your solar panels, your EV, your heat pumps, hot water heat pump. Just the next time you're thinking about investing in your home, just make sure that you consider electrification as one of those decisions. And New Zealanders around this are taking advantage of the savings that electrification and solar has to bring. These are some people from the wider rewiring sort of audience who have told us about the savings that they're generating. And you can see there's everyone from retirees to young families. This guy's got 4 teenage daughters who take really long showers. So there's a huge range of New Zealanders who are adopting these things. And I'll just finish off. So Rewiring NZ, we're a non-profit. And a big part of what we do is nurturing local-led communities to then, spread the message and help their neighbours and, to electrify their communities. So we've got over 30 communities around the country. You can check them out here. And they're just, very casual, friendly spaces where you can go along and talk to other people who are considering it, who have done it, and can give you some advice on what worked for them. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. That was super interesting. Great presentation. And now just remind everybody that you can put your questions in the chat. And I see Chris has been answering some questions as we go, which is really cool. So get your questions ready. But Andrew, our last speaker, I'd like to just invite you, Andrew, to get online and share your screen. Thank you.
Excellent. Hey, great work, Jenny. That was really quite fascinating. Hey, I am conscious, team, that we've gone well over time. So as things were going through, I was thinking, how can I adjust? I'm probably going to go off script.
That's all right, Andrew. We'll just do some questions after we go over the hour, and that'll be fine.
Brilliant. Hey, so large part of my presentation really was, geez, if I can go to the start, would be useful. Was around why we should be actually getting solar. Some of that's been covered off by both Jenny and Heath. One of our distinct differences to what everyone else is talking about, and there's some really fascinating products out there, is around our use of microinverters. So I won't go into much about me, bar the fact that us as a company, in fact, we'll cover that off a bit later on. So moving on from here, an overview of the residential solar solar industry in New Zealand. Obviously about increasing adoption, um, which has been steadily growing through installation of solar panels, the cost reduction using photovoltaics, and obviously in the environmental awareness. Government incentives are helping this, particularly around depreciation on solar panels for specifically for businesses. So there are incentives put in place. Banks are obviously helping with 0 to 1% loans, which are really encouraging the customer to get into the market. Environmental is obviously a big part, and again, that's been covered off by both Jenny and Heath. So moving on from that one, some of the key benefits of residential photovoltaic systems. I just got to get rid of this thing here. Solar panels produce renewable energy on site. So specifically producing power on your house as opposed to bring it in from the grid. And homeowners saving money from lowering electricity bills through their energy generation, which is obviously a key part of why people really want to get into solar. We understand about the clean and renewable parts of the energy sector, and this particularly is the New Zealand industry and the world in itself is looking for renewables and the reduction of fossil fuels. So householders using solar energy contribute to preserving the environment for the future generations. So the energy independence. So photovoltaic systems empower homeowners to manage the energy supplies independently and efficiently. Resilience through the outages, and this is a really pertinent point at the moment as we see the vulnerability within their weather patterns, where people are getting caught short with no power. Having your own solar system there, particularly if it's got the battery backup system, gives you that independence and that resilience. So the advantage of microinverters. So there's essentially two types of systems out there as far as we're concerned. There's microinverters and string inverters. String inverters work on a series system. Microinverters work on parallel, meaning that we're operating each panel individually of the other panel. So microinverters optimize the power output for each solar panel independently, enhancing overall system performance. There's a reduction of energy loss. They reduce energy losses caused by shading and panel mismatches, ensuring maximum power generation. And increase energy efficiency by optimizing each panel. Microinverter increases the total energy yield of that solar system. So incidentally, microinverters actually stay on the roof under the panels as opposed to something else inside the string inverter, for example, inside the house. So improved electrical safety. So microinverters are using AC electricity as opposed to DC. So you may have on a string inverter system, you might have a 600 to 1,000 volts DC on the roof, where microinverters you'll be staying at the 230 volt AC, which is what a house uses. Enhanced solar system monitoring. So the microinverters enable easy monitoring and fault detection, ensuring the higher system reliability and maintenance efficiency. So incidentally, that is also done remotely by us. No one really knows about it in the background, but we monitor all systems, and if we see anything that happens, we actually contact the customer and say, hey, look, we need to come out and have a look at this. Fortunately, we don't need to contact the customers very often. So flexibility in the panel configuration. So independent panel operations, microinverters technology enables each solar panel to operate independently. Panels can be installed in diverse orientation without impacting their system. That's because of that string versus series thing I mentioned earlier. And simplified system expansion. Because these are all daisy chained together, we can easily add and expand our system as opposed to needing to change out a string inverter if that's already maxed out. So how Solar Corp can assist the homeowners? As a customized solar system we're creating photovoltaic. I've just realised I'm actually working on my other PowerPoint presentation, but I'll carry on. Solar Corp creates photovoltaic systems customized for each homeowner's energy requirements and site specifics. Expert energy consultations. We really focus on the energy needs and environmental conditions to ensure optimal solar system performance and optimizing performance and cost. So customized solar systems is designed to maximize energy efficiency while minimizing cost to homeowners. So we really work on the quality and installation. So expert installations ensure solar systems function efficiently from the start to maximizing systems performance and safety. Reliability, ongoing system keeps solar systems operating optimally, preventing issues and extending the system lifespan. And customer peace of mind. Professional service provides homeowner confidence in the solar system. One of the points I do need to point out here is that us as a company, we strive and work on the word integrity. So we really aim for looking after our customers, and if they have any questions, we're there to support them at every step of the journey. So it's what underpins us, Solar Corp, as a company. The government rebates, again, I touched on this earlier, so I might just flick through this. So conclusions: there's residential solar panels help homeowners reduce solar electricity bills and by generating their own electricity. Obviously, the environmental impacts around reducing carbon and hopefully stabilizing our weather patterns and energy independence. The last thing I will make is that the microinverters were used by a company called AP Systems. The DS3 microinverters, one we primarily use, that operates 2 panels at once, reducing our cost of installation. But as I said before, these microinverters can be daisy chained together, so we can expand as the customer requires more power. They very easily work into an off-grid situation, which is a very unique thing for a microinverter. So by pairing that up with our battery system, we can actually go into an off-grid mode and carry on generating when the power goes off. So that, in summary, and it's a very quick thing around microinverters, is it from me. Again, thanks to Superhome and Bob, and also thanks to the speakers beforehand. It's been a fascinating information from each company, and I love seeing what we're all doing in the solar front to help people get into the solar game.
Yep. Thank you very much, Andy. And yeah, we're well over time, but we've still got 55 participants here online. So if there are any questions, I'd just like to invite everybody to turn their mics on if you want to. If you've got other things to do and you can't afford the time, that's fine too. Yeah, you're welcome to turn on your mics so we can take some questions. So I guess my main question would be, just to start it off, is just around sort of how do you size systems, and our approach at Bob Burnett Architecture is we try and make systems so they're expandable, so that you can add panels if you've got the roof space to do it, or you can add a battery, and if the system is set up to allow you to do that. So and then yeah, it's just, I know there's some softwares that are available, and most good solar companies have their own softwares, but there's also some that are available to the homeowners and the architects as well. Yeah, that's kind of the way we approach that. I just wonder if, and then obviously user habits come into how much power you're going to use in the first place. But if there's any other thoughts from others on the call about ways to size the system, that's kind of.
I can probably add to that, Bob, if you like. So part of our process really is trying to understand the household habits, the usage, the products within the house, and then also what they're trying to achieve, what their ultimate goals are. Again, whether they're trying to save simply as much money on their power bill as possible, or whether they're trying to be as energy resilient as possible, are often two very different systems. So it really starts with trying to understand them, what that main goal and driver is. Then understanding their power habits there is, again, trying to get a bit more creative to see how can we change those power habits? Are there any things we can load shift, or are there any things we can do to be more efficient with the household? So like look perhaps at hot water heat pump systems if they have an electric cylinder, that's 70% more efficient than a standard electric cylinder. So all of those things we take into account, rather than just looking at what the usage is and whacking on as many panels as we can.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot in the habits of people. Do you have a shower in the morning or a shower at night? And do you have an EV, or are you thinking about adding an EV? Those sort of things would have a big impact.
I think there's another part here too, Bob, is that when people do get solar, we need to educate them how to use it. And historically, I've seen examples where people come back and say, "Oh, look, we're not making any gains." Lo and behold, they're still working on night rates. So they needed to work out, actually, if you put your appliances on during the day, you can actually fully utilize your system. So it is important to educate people on how to use it as well.
Yeah, one of my hobbies is distilling. So when I'm running my still, I make sure the sun's shining. So it uses quite a lot of electricity. Yeah, if anyone wants to taste my gin or bourbon, you're welcome. I can give you a sample. Yeah, so just from the panel, is there any other thoughts or questions? I think Chris has already answered a few questions, which is great.
I'm just seeing the one here about the underfloor heating and batteries. So I think you touched on it earlier on, Bob, that using solar, channeling that power into underfloor heating and into the concrete is actually a really good utilization of power, because that concrete tends to hold that power for 2 to 3 days. So that is to me, that's a proxy battery in itself.
Yeah, I think when we did the first 10-star homes, they had in-slab heating, and we had heat pump, hot water, a dual system, and solar. And actually, the 2-story house had batteries too, way back 10 years ago. And that was, for us, that was the biggest shift in energy efficiency. Just having, and it's sort of what I sort of alluded to earlier, having all of the systems working together is really important, and you can make some really good energy savings that way, rather than just thinking about, hey, can I chuck some panels up on my roof and make some money feeding back to the grid? Because it's not such a good thing these days. I remember when we got our first solar panels, and I was interesting, Jenny, when you're talking about rentals, we put solar panels on our office when we didn't even own the building. And at that time, that was like, when was that? It was probably like 13, 14 years ago. So you were paying 19 cents a kilowatt, and you were getting 19 cents a kilowatt. It was like for like, because the power companies hadn't worked out how to rip people off. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
That's so cool. And was it just because you had a good relationship with the commercial landlord? Because that's a huge barrier we see, is when businesses lease the buildings and then they need to talk to this like faceless commercial building leaser person to talk about getting rooftop solar.
Yeah, we didn't so much talk to the landlord as just we saw this nice north-facing roof and said, we're going to chuck some panels on there. And then when we left the building, we actually took those panels with us and we put them on the 10-star home.
Wow.
I think on the commercial side, we're finding a pretty big impact from commercial landlords and tenants starting to work together for adopting solar, because there are benefits to both parties there at the end of the day. So that's where we working with quite a lot of commercial landlords and property and asset management groups, which is really exciting. So I think that adoption is there, and that exists, and that's only going to grow. Further to probably what Jenny was discussing regarding tenants for domestic and residential, that sounds really interesting and really exciting. So I'll be really keen to see how that may work, because that's a big gap there. Obviously, not everyone owns their own home at the moment, so making sure that they still are able to be a part of the energy, I guess, resilience and cost effective energy. I think that's really, really critical and really important, but we're missing that in our industry at the moment.
Yeah, I guess, Superhome movement, where most of the participants are sort of 90% in the residential space. But yeah, it's interesting, the new homes, where every home we're wiring, pre-wiring, even if someone doesn't have an EV, we make sure there's a cable there. We could probably do the same for batteries. Make sure there's a cable there, and people have got the choice in the future. Just kind of makes sense. It's not difficult to do that. It's much easier when the house is being built.
And I might add something, Bob, just we haven't covered off too much detail on this, but there is financing options available for if there's any tenants on this forum or there's tenants in a residential home, the green energy lending does apply to your landlord, the owner of the property. So feel free to have that discussion with them and engage with the owner of the property if you are renting. There's cheap credit available to put panels, double glaze. It's available. It's out there now. So we see a few landlords now taking that decision just to differentiate themselves from other things that are out there.
Thanks very much, Chris. That's a really good point, because I think the government have been sort of asleep at the wheel. There's been zero incentives for solar, whereas other countries have done that. But the banks have recently stepped up to the plate, and and even just doing a green home, you can get better interest rates if you do Homestar or Passive House. Superhome has recently been recognised, and if in Christchurch you can have your certified Superhome registered on the title, as with the other rating tools. So it's our plan to see if we can get that better preferential lending for a Superhome as well.
Yeah, just on that, on the green loans, I think this was in my answer to Jan's question about upfront cost. So the green loans from the banks are really great. They're like 0 to 1% interest for 3 to 5 years. But for a lot of people, that's still a hit on the cost of living because it's such a short loan term. And that makes it out of reach for a lot of households. So what we're pushing for is longer term loans, because there's actually no reason why they shouldn't be able to offer 30-year loans on solar when the warranty is 30 years, and same for EVs. And so that means even if the interest rate's a bit higher, you're spreading that cost over a longer time, and the cost of the repayments plus the interest will be less than what you're currently paying for the grid anyway. So that means it's affordable for truly everyone. So it's like, if you can afford to pay the bills now, you can definitely afford to get solar and pay it off. And there's a scheme coming up called the Ratepayers Assistance Scheme that local councils are working on, which would offer those sort of long-term loans secured against the property at a couple of basis points, well, 1 to 1.5 basis points below the going rate. And so just keep an eye out for that. It's like very much a work in progress, but we really want that to go through so that all homeowners have access to low interest long-term loans.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, I think when you start to look at some of those financing options, the payback argument becomes less relevant. And I've always sort of had a different view about payback. People talk about what's the payback period of a solar system. Well, I think if you can borrow money at your mortgage interest rate, whether it's 5% or whatever, and then the repayment on that is less than the money that you're saving from generating power, well, the payback's immediate. It's not 5 years or 7 years or whatever. It's you're making money from the start. And there's ECA have their calculator, and it's quite pessimistic. It sort of looks at how much interest you'd get if you put your the value of what you're spending on solar in a interest earning savings account. And I just think they kind of got it the wrong way around.
Yeah. And just to add to that, Bob, as well, that ECA, just for the first time this year, they have come out and said solar is viable for residential homes, and you couldn't find an industry body that's more pro the generators out there. So we're pretty excited to see that, because that's the first time the actual industry body that looks after the generators is saying this as well. So there's definitely some pretty exciting stuff coming. I might just grab that question, Bob, if that's all right.
Sure.
So someone said, how quickly are the new 480 watt panels going to become obsolete? Is it worth upgrading an existing system that has a 350 watt panel? So in terms of that, their panels are a bit like a mobile phone. They get slightly better all the time, but your 350 watt panel will still have probably a 15 to 25 year product warranty. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So your model, keep it clean, look after them, wash them once to twice a year, and you can look at expanding that system anytime you like. But if it's working and achieving your goals at the moment, there's no need to replace a system.
Just to add to that, you can carry on waiting for new technology to come out. You could be waiting forever. So with the technology we have at hand now, get on and start making those savings right here, right now, especially with those bank loans we have sitting in place. It makes 100% sense.
Yeah, totally. You know, it's like computers in the 90s. You know, you didn't not buy a computer because they were improving rapidly. The moment you bought it, there was a better one. You make use of what's available now, and it does stack up. It does make sense. And yeah, so there are a couple of other questions there. I think one's more of a comment than a question, which is cool. Education is key, absolutely. And you know, I was really excited to get everybody together and talk about solar today because I'm still learning, and yeah, it's great to have everybody's input. So thank you everybody for joining. And are there any parting comments before we log off?
Just the education is key thing. That's something I did highlight before. That with that example when people were using nitrate, we need to make sure they understand how to use it efficiently, and so that way, as an industry, they're getting the most out of it, and as an industry, we come out with that really good rap as well because we know what solar can offer everyone, and that's our job is to get people into solar because it just makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure if there's any other questions that come to light, then just approach anyone individually and be happy to answer those questions too. Thanks again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Right on, team. Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye,
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.